Hi everyone, welcome. I was preparing to put together one of my little information boards detailing the stats on these two worm bins, but then I started thinking, well, these are such easy numbers to remember. Do I really need to write them down? So I'm going to try to recall the stats from memory. I mean, like the age, I noticed that from today, 2 weeks from today exactly, is when the systems are going to reach their 200th day in service, so they're 186 days old today. And I know there have been 16 feedings applied to these systems so far. So that number seemed pretty sensible for a couple bins this age. And it was only about 5 minutes ago that I checked on my spreadsheet, so I should be able to remember long enough to recall it in front of the camera. And that last feeding, it was only 10 days ago. I wonder if I could actually be feeling warmth from the breakdown process. I was just, starting to gently scrub a little material aside from where we last fed. Here in bin number 1, I easily found this coffee filter that was showing us where we last fed. My traditional feeding zone indicator here, I only found oh no, I guess maybe I didn't scrub off enough leafy material, because here I've got another one in this bin, perhaps not in as good shape as in bin number 1, but I'm definitely feeling warmth down in here. Pretty cool, interesting. Let's probe down into the feeding zone of bin number 1 and see if it feels similar. Huh. Perhaps a little bit, yeah. Alright, so I've come across the husk of a mango seed. The feeding we gave them last time was kind of color coded. It was all yellow. And part of what they got last time was corn cob, and I just bumped into it. It's right there. I didn't realize I'd placed it so deep. I was just going back and forth thinking that I'd bump into it eventually. And the other yellow thing was squash, which even though it was only 10 days ago that we gave that to them, I seriously doubt we're going to see any leftovers of any squash. But the corn cob is not surprising whatsoever, because corn is going to take them a long, long time to break down. It's really resistant to the breakdown process somehow, and it definitely will get there in time, but it could take quite a while. But this is the first check-in on the corn cob. It was fed only 10 days ago, and I definitely suspected a worm party coming out for the corn. And I think I predicted correctly, because look at this. Like every worm in the neighborhood came out to check out the corn in this case. And I wonder if we're going to get the same thing in bin number 2. I don't think I'm going to lift this wad much closer to the middle, because if anyone drops off, let them drop back off right back into their own home, into their own bin. We're going to gawk at them a little bit here as they enjoy this delicious corn feast we gave them not too long ago. Wow, that's such a funny sensation. It feels like the whole wad is going to roll off the side of your hand. You're like, oh my goodness, where are they going to go? And then they sort of grab onto each other and pull each other back up, so the wad sort of stops flowing over your hand and comes back up onto your hand and stays. And nobody falls off. I kept hearing things fall off, and it was these things, these little chunks of stuff that's not worms. Man, they really came out for this corn. And it looks like they've already managed to whittle off more than half the kernels from this cob. So something tells me by the time we get in here next time, whenever that may be, we're probably not going to see many kernels left, but that cob is going to take a long, long time to break down. I can almost guarantee it. All right, so I cannot hold out any longer. I'm dying to see what the corn cob in bin number 2 looks like, and here is where I felt that warmth earlier, and I was definitely curious to come back to see what that felt like going deeper. It didn't really change much, but I do feel it still. So some sort of a breakdown process must be occurring here that's causing warmth. And, well, I don't know. I figured let's collect up the old feeding zone indicator to give it to them as supplementary bedding once we reset the feeding zone down here for them. And once again, no squash, but definitely corn. Corn that's most likely got a big number of its kernels removed already. Here, many more than the other one. Yep. They've really done a number on that cob. I would say maybe 10% of the kernels remain, but everything else has been removed. As you can see, some of them are still floating around in the crowd here, but I would imagine that, with the exception of the one or two that are still here that just fell off or whatever, all the rest have been consumed by these little guys. Oh man. Corn is definitely got to be up there amongst their favorites, wouldn't you think? I do think. All right. That was fun, but it's enough of that. Let's press on to giving them their food. So if the last feeding that these little guys got 10 days ago had a color theme of yellow, the squash and the corn, then I guess green would be the description for what today's color theme is on their feeding. It's all pepper cores, and I've removed all the seeds, believe it or not. I've got a huge amount of seeds from all these pepper cores, and this is only half of the pepper cores that I removed seeds from, so you can only imagine the number of seeds I've got from that. So yeah, seeds that I'll eventually put into the little mini grinder, mini blender, the magic bullet, and transform it into their worm chow. Another way to make use of different stuff out there. So let's grab my prepared bedding. We're gonna set up the bedding for this feeding, sort of like last time, where we used my prepared bedding underneath the food, and then on top we sprinkled leaves. So I've got my box of leaves, and I think I've got enough leafy matter over there with which we can sprinkle the top surface and cover up with. And then I'll have to go outside and fetch some more. This is the one that just came out of the machine because it's still sticky, doesn't want to pop out of the filter. A little coffee onto the bedding, and then let's proceed to giving them their pepper feast. Yeah, that is a nice, generous helping. And generally, this stuff is soft. You know, I mean, it's going in here frozen, so it's hard as a rock right now, but in short order, it will thaw out and become a nice feast for these little guys. I've got my grit that we can throw on there as a little helper, and then on can come the leftovers. So I kind of feel bad putting the corn on top of a bunch of icy stuff, considering there's a few worms tucked away inside the kernels over there. So let's give them a little escape route. And this old feeding zone indicator could come back in here. Oh boy, look at all these guys. I forgot about them. Sorry. You guys surprised me. Here too we've got our mob, our soon to be angry mob. If we were to try to like force them onto all this frozen material, I'm sure they wouldn't be too happy about that. So we'll just give this stuff time to thaw out so that the worms can make their way in there and start ripping the stuff to shreds. Because I really don't think it's the type of food that's going to last very long, personally. So I'm going to begin the backfilling from over here. Let our little friends over there squirm a bit more, and then regrettably I'm going to have to go over there and disturb them one more time, or perhaps I should just leave them be at this point. I should be able to fetch enough material over from this side with which we can neatly cover up the feeding zone and level things off. And then we'll let these little guys settle in at their own comfortable pace. Man, we really upsetted their feast there, tearing that delicious corn cob to shreds. Sorry guys. Well, hopefully they could find their way back to it and pick up where they left off and not be too disturbed by my interruption. There is a little bit left, but I've got a feeling by the next time we come back in here, it's going to be cob only. It's hard to imagine that there'd be any corn kernels left in a few more days. Oops. Yeah, here's our little friends. Good job, guys. Good job. All right. Very nice. Very nice. So, as I usually do, I'm going to bring in my leaves and use the leaves to get some of this lovely material back into the systems. And let's see, I gotta be careful. I know I don't have many leaves here. Oop, I'd like for it to go around to both systems. And I can see that I sent some of it to the floor too. Careless me. Alright, here we go. Just try to get some of this material right back into the systems, and then we can cover up and put away, and it'll be probably another couple weeks before we come back in here. I really like to try to elongate the time between check-ins, so I did try to be generous on this with that fairly large portion of pepper there. I mean, it felt like a lot when I carried it down here, and I do believe it's not like watermelon where, you know, where like 90% of it is just fluid or water content. I believe here we've got an actual good amount of delicious food for them to work on there. Not to mention the yummy leaves on the surface that they could turn to should they run out of the drawing a blank. What did I feed them? Pepper. Of course, there's the corn, and that's it. That's it for the check-in. All right, everyone, that's it for the check-in. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. If you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.